The armyworm infestation has already affected 7 countries in the southern African region. SADC has blamed the slow response on inadequate pest identification services and gaps in technical capacity. Agronomist from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Sina Lushan, joins us now via Skype. Sina, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. We know that international experts have been gathering in Zimbabwe over the last few days to try and find out what they are going to do to counteract the effects of this pest. Exactly what has come out of the talks?
Thank you very much for having me. The most important outcomes of the deliberations that we had in Harare is that we need to strengthen our preparedness systems in Southern Africa. We are drawing lessons from what has happened in terms of the armyworm and the way it has quickly spread across the region. And one of the key reasons is that we don't have adequate systems that enable early warning, early detection of the pest, as well as the rapid response and the exchange of information between the various countries. So we agreed on a roadmap that should culminate in a coordinated approach to tackling the armyworm pest in the region. Because without that, we are facing actually quite a big menace. You will appreciate the amount of damage that it does in Brazil, where it comes from. It's estimated around $400 million are lost every year to the armyworm. And Southern Africa does not have that amount of money. Our food security systems are quite fragile when you compare it to South America, where this pest comes from. So we have to be diligent actually in quickly moving and addressing the problem.
Well, it seems to me that there are only 2 countries that have really come out and spoken about how they've been affected by it, South Africa and Zimbabwe so far, but we understand that it could be a SADC-wide problem at this point. Do we even know the extent of the effects of it in terms of how many hectares of land have been affected and how serious this plague is in terms of the intensity of it?
Yeah, those are actually the gaps that were recognized during the meeting that we had in Harare. Because while the countries know they've got a pest problem, they've got different capacities. As you mentioned, Zimbabwe and South Africa were reasonably early enough to identify what they were facing, because we can say they are capacities in terms of lab taxonomic services. By that I mean services that are able to identify, distinguish one pest from another. They are reasonably well advanced. It's not exactly the same in other countries, but we know that this pest actually is indicatedly present in Malawi, in parts of Mozambique, in Zambia, in Namibia. Zambia did confirm actually preliminary that they've got a pest. They had done their identification and they did preliminary confirm that they've got a pest. And Botswana as well has actually indicatively got a pest. So we are talking of almost 7 African countries, Southern African countries that are affected. And yeah.
Sina, we know that in the period of a month and a half that this pest has managed to spread extremely rapidly. Just how much at risk is the rest of Africa if the moths decide to move in that direction?
Yes, we would anticipate that the pest is going to, if no urgent measures are taken, the pest could spread to other countries in Africa. But having said that, you appreciate that actually the first incidence of this pest was reported in West Africa, from principle about a year ago. And then from there it rapidly spread into other West African countries, and you can see how quickly it's able to move. Now it's in Southern Africa. And this pest, we have to bear in mind that it's capable of also flying. It does not need a passport to cross the border. So it does fly, and some studies indicate that it can cover up to 100 kilometers in a day. So you can see the threat that we are facing as a region and indeed as a continent.
At the same time, Sina, we're also hearing about the threat of the red locust that apparently will make this infestation look like a picnic. Exactly what are the prospects of southern African countries, or other African countries indeed, being affected by the red locust on such a large scale?
The International Red Locust Control Organization for Central and Southern Africa was one of our partners in organizing this meeting we had in Harare. And they did sound that alert, and they've been sounding this alert for the last couple of months, that the locust populations in their traditional breeding areas has actually been on the increase. What happens with locusts is that before they take to swarming, meaning moving in big numbers, millions of numbers, they normally go into a stage where they start, you can see them if you go in their breeding areas, they start massing up. And then after that they can start dispersing and possibly causing harm to crops. And so that is a real threat that stands. There are many other threats that are there in Southern Africa besides even the locust. Tuta absoluta, I think you read a few weeks ago. It's also in the region now, having come from the north there. It's in the region and it's devastating tomato. So the issue is we just simply have to put investment in that we ensure that we protect our region from transboundary pests and diseases. And no single country is capable of achieving that. Countries have to work together, countries have to coordinate, countries have to network and exchange information and work together to understand the new threats that we have and how to manage them. I think that's the most important thing. That's a key message that we need people to understand.
Thank you so much for your insight into that story. Lots of work ahead. Agronomist Sina Lushen. Let's check in with the Weather Centre next.